Have you ever walked away from a conversation thinking, "I should have said something, but I didn't"? Or worse, you said something, and now you regret it? That tight feeling in your chest, the racing thoughts, the fear of saying the wrong thing. That's what difficult conversations do to us. But here's the truth most people never realize. Your life doesn't get limited by your skills, your intelligence, or your opportunities. It gets limited by the conversations you avoid. Because every difficult conversation you delay becomes a silent barrier between you and the life you actually want. And today, we're going to break that barrier. We're going to talk about how to navigate difficult conversations, not with fear, not with hesitation, but with clarity, control, and quiet confidence. But before we go deeper, if you want to master communication, confidence, and personal growth, this channel is built exactly for that. So take a second, hit that subscribe button, and become part of a community that's learning how to think better, speak better, and live better. Now let's get into it. The first thing you need to understand is this: a difficult conversation is not difficult because of the topic. It's difficult because of what's at stake. Maybe it's your relationship. Maybe it's your reputation. Maybe it's your self-respect. And when something important is on the line, your brain switches into protection mode. You either fight, flee, or freeze. You raise your voice. You avoid the conversation. Or you stay silent when you should speak. But confidence in difficult conversations doesn't come from eliminating fear. It comes from understanding it and controlling your response to it. So step 1 is simple, but powerful. Before you enter the conversation, pause. Not for long. Just long enough to ask yourself one question. What do I really want from this conversation? Not what you want to prove. Not what you want to win. But what outcome actually matters. Do you want clarity, resolution, respect, closure? Because if you walk into a conversation without a clear intention, you will be driven by emotion. And emotions, in difficult conversations, are rarely your best guide. Now here's where most people go wrong. They prepare what they're going to say, but they don't prepare how they're going to listen. And listening is where confidence is built. Think about it. When someone feels heard, their defenses drop. When their defenses drop, the conversation becomes easier. And when the conversation becomes easier, your confidence naturally rises. So instead of thinking, "How do I say this perfectly?" shift your mindset to, "How do I understand this person completely?" Because the moment you truly listen, you take control of the conversation without forcing it. Now here comes a powerful shift. You don't need to dominate a conversation to lead it. You just need to stay calm when things get uncomfortable. And this is where most people lose control. The tone rises. The emotions spike. The conversation starts slipping. And suddenly, it's not about the issue anymore. It's about ego. So here's your anchor. When emotions rise, slow down. Lower your voice. Pause before responding. Let silence do its work. Because silence is not weakness. Silence is control. And the person who controls their reaction controls the direction of the conversation. Now let me give you something even deeper. Most difficult conversations are not about what's being said. They're about what's being felt. Someone says, "You never listen." But what they really mean is, "I don't feel valued." Someone says, "You always mess things up." But what they really mean is, "I feel frustrated and helpless." If you respond only to the words, you will argue. But if you respond to the emotion behind the words, you will connect. And connection is what transforms difficult conversations into meaningful ones. Now imagine this. Instead of reacting defensively, you say, "I hear what you're saying, and I want to understand this better." That one sentence can completely shift the tone of a conversation, because it tells the other person, "I'm not here to fight you. I'm here to understand you." And that is confidence, not loudness, not dominance, but clarity, calmness, and control. Now here's another truth most people don't like hearing. You cannot control how the other person reacts. You can say everything right, and they might still misunderstand you. They might still get angry. They might still walk away. But confidence is not about controlling outcomes. It's about controlling yourself. If you walk into a difficult conversation grounded, clear, and respectful, you've already succeeded, regardless of how the other person responds. Because you didn't shrink. You didn't explode. You showed up as your best self. And that matters. Now let's talk about something that silently ruins conversations. Assumptions. We assume we know what the other person meant. We assume we know their intentions. We assume we're right. And those assumptions build invisible walls. So instead of assuming, ask, "Can you help me understand what you meant by that? Is this what you're feeling? Am I understanding you correctly?" These questions don't make you weak. They make you aware. And awareness is the foundation of confident communication. Now here's a powerful moment in every difficult conversation. The moment where you have to speak your truth. Not aggressively, not passively, but honestly. And this is where many people hesitate, because they think speaking truth will damage the relationship. But the reality is, unspoken truth damages relationships more than honest words ever will. So say what needs to be said, but say it with intention. Instead of saying, "You're always disrespectful," say, "I feel disrespected when this happens." Notice the difference. One attacks, the other expresses. And expression invites dialogue. Attack invites defense. Now here's a hook most people never think about. Every difficult conversation is a test, not of the other person, but of who you are becoming. Are you becoming someone who avoids discomfort, or someone who grows through it? Are you becoming reactive or reflective? Because every conversation like this shapes your identity. And if you can learn to navigate these moments with confidence, you don't just improve your relationships, you transform yourself. Now let's bring this all together. Confidence in difficult conversations is not about having the perfect words. It's about having the right mindset. Clarity over confusion. Listening over reacting. Calmness over chaos. Understanding over assumption. Expression over suppression. And most importantly, courage over comfort. Because at the end of the day, the conversations you're avoiding right now are the same conversations that are holding your life back. That conversation with your boss, that conversation with your partner, that conversation with yourself, they matter. And the moment you decide to face them, with honesty, with calmness, with confidence, everything begins to shift. So here's your challenge. Think of one difficult conversation you've been avoiding. Just one. And instead of delaying it, prepare for it. Not perfectly, but intentionally. Go in with clarity. Listen deeply. Stay calm. Speak honestly. And watch what happens. Because growth doesn't happen in comfort. It happens in conversations like these. If this message resonated with you, if you want to become someone who communicates with confidence, clarity, and purpose, then don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Because this is just the beginning. And the person you're becoming is built one conversation at a time.